And then I talked about how important it is to not skip any meals. Because when you skip meals, again, that triggers food scarcity. And most likely, you're skipping meals because you're punishing yourself for what you ate or for how you look or for how you want to look and not achieving those results. And so the more that you punish yourself, again, you are downloading that information. You're giving your nervous system that information that there's something wrong. And you'll notice that now you're stuck in the loop. And you're stuck in this loop where you restrict, you binge, you punish yourself, and then you promise yourself that it's never going to happen again. Welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Shaban, and with each episode, I am honored to be your coaching guide in the journey to make peace with food, fall in love with fitness, and ultimately yourself. My intention in each episode is to help you release the old story of who you are and step into the one you're always meant to be. We'll challenge conventional diet and fitness culture and understand the importance of tuning out all the shoulds they tell us to do and tuning into our own inner wisdom instead. What you focus on, you create more of. Through these conversations, you'll shift your focus from what you're supposed to be doing to who you want to be, so that health and fitness and ease around food is not just what you do, but who you are. And if you find that this conversation resonates with you today, then I want to invite you to join our free Make Peace with Food Facebook community at myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com, where you can connect with me and my team directly and access all the free trainings and resources we have for you so you can regulate your nervous system and make peace with food. And then also remember to share this episode with someone who you think needs to hear this today. The links are in the show notes. All right, now let's get into it. And then I talked about how important it is to not skip any meals. Because when you skip meals, again, that triggers food scarcity. And most likely, you're skipping meals because you're punishing yourself for what you ate or for how you look or for how you want to look and not achieving those results. And so the more that you punish yourself, again, you are downloading that information. You're giving your nervous system that information that there's something wrong, that you've done something wrong, and now you have to withstand the responsibility of that. There's some sort of punishment. There is some sort of negative consequence as a result to eating certain foods or to having a certain behavior. And that continues to trigger the nervous system into protection mode. And you'll notice that now you're stuck in the loop. And you're stuck in this loop where you restrict, you binge, you punish yourself, and then you promise yourself that it's never going to happen again. And that is the restrict, binge, punish, promise cycle. And recognize this pattern. Notice the thoughts and emotions. When you restrict and you're all feeling very motivated and very disciplined after, of course, promising yourself that you're going to get in the best shape of your life or that you're not going to do that behavior again, you notice that that only lasts a certain amount of time until something triggers you to binge or something triggers you to eat the things that you promised yourself you weren't going to eat. And since you're already there, you get into what I call that Last Supper mindset, where you overeat, where you feel like this is now your one and only chance, or since you've already screwed up, you may as well just keep going and eat the rest of that pie. I mean, you're starting from scratch anyways, all nice and clean back on Monday. May as well just keep going. And after that, you punish yourself. You feel very down on yourself. You start to berate yourself. You're beating yourself up for the behavior that you promised yourself you'd never do. And then that leads you into the promise. I'll never do this again. All right, that's it. Starting Monday, it's gonna be super clean. Let me Google some sort of diet, like the most badass diet out there. And I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna follow it to the T. I'm getting super excited. I'm gonna buy all the supplements. I'm gonna go to Costco. I'm gonna buy all the foods. I'm gonna meal prep and I'm super motivated. And boom, you're right back into that restrict cycle. And that will keep you trapped longer because that cycle is just downloaded in the mind. The mind is playing back the pattern. It's like a software that's on repeat. And it continues to play that pattern, tied in with thoughts, tied in with emotions, tied in with behaviors, and a lot of self-value and self-worthiness. And so if you can interrupt this pattern, you're going to be on your way to calming your cravings and regulating your nervous system. And like I shared with you, It is so incredibly important to be patient with yourself, to really take this one step at a time, to make sure that no matter what, you are being so patient, so kind, so loving to yourself, and not beating yourself up when you do have a slip up, because it's actually that slip up that brings you right back. And now today, like I shared, one of the most powerful tools is to plan out your meals and snacks so that it's not something that's always on your mind. You know that you've got foods and your favorite foods in the fridge. And what you're actually doing by planning out these meals, giving yourself full permission to eat these favorite foods, is you're also releasing the desire. You're releasing the dopamine reward system that you've built up in your brain that actually gets you to crave them even more. So if you're wanting that chocolate bar, have it. Because what ends up happening when you deprive yourself from that chocolate bar is that desire grows stronger and stronger and stronger. And by the end of the week, it's not one chocolate bar you're having, it's 5, or it's half a cake, or it is an entire gallon of ice cream. Notice what happens when you deprive yourself from certain foods. You actually end up craving them even more. And this again is in response to you triggering yourself into protection mode. When you're in protection mode, you are feeling uncomfortable. The emotions you feel are uncomfortable. And anytime you use a substance to bring yourself from discomfort or pain into pleasure or reward, you're building a dopamine reward system in the brain. We can see that as addiction. We can see that as a habituated pattern, but essentially it all boils down to the same thing. The more you keep yourself from having something that you want, the more you desire it, the more that you actually want it. And the higher that you will see that reward system actually playing out, which means you'll end up noticing that the more you deprive yourself, the more of that food that you need to actually give you that exact same hit. And that's where you start to see that your behavior actually starts to amplify. And you see this with people who have addictions, that at first it starts off with a small dose, and then you require a larger dose to get that exact same hit. And we can see the same thing happening when it comes to restricting foods. And I saw that happen with me too. It used to be that it was just a Friday cheat meal. And then it suddenly became a Friday and Saturday cheat day. And then it became the entire weekend. And I would have to make up for it on Monday with some sort of fast. And I was using fasting in a very punishing way. It's not how I'm using fasting now. And fasting is a very powerful tool. It is a healing tool. It's actually a health protocol that does have a side effect of weight loss if you're requiring to release weight or if your body has excess stored energy. But it's actually a very, very powerful health protocol. And I want you to get out of the conversation of looking for that next meal plan. Remember that your best way to eat is not somewhere out there that you need to still discover. The right way for you to eat is in here. It is intuitive and your body already knows. If you learn how to regulate your nervous system, if you understand that your nervous system is actually governing what's going to happen with your stored energy, in other words, if it's going to store fat or release fat, and it also decides your enzymes, it decides your hormones, it decides your thoughts, it decides your emotions, it decides all of these things through your environment, through habituation, through you actually feeling unsafe or creating that perception that you feel unsafe. Any of these patterns that are downloaded into the mind that continue to play become stronger and stronger until it starts to become like your character, your second nature, and you have a hard time interrupting these patterns. However, if you can break it down in the way that I'm sharing with you over these conversations, starting off with stopping that restriction and allowing yourself to have that next meal, allowing yourself to feel more safe around food, you interrupt that pattern. And it happens so quickly. It happens within that first month. I want to hear from you. I want to know how these conversations are going for you. What is resonating with you today? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'll see you then. Thanks for listening to this episode. Whether you're already on your wellness journey or just getting started, we're in this together. If this has resonated with you today, I want to invite you to subscribe to the show so you never miss a beat. And if you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, then please share this episode with them. Let's work together to help as many people as possible make peace with food and fall in love with fitness. And also, don't forget to visit myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com to join the free Facebook group for more resources. Remember, you are an inspiration. I can't wait to hear your story. See you next time.